Welcome to our podcast, A Shot at Bliss. This is Yadi.
And Melly, and this is another episode of our series, Bliss in Disguise, where we will be discussing all those daily moments that can negatively affect your day.
Yeah, and as little as the challenge is that's thrown your way, it can totally mess with your mood. So in this series, we will share with you guys how we deal with these obstacles and the negative mentality that follows to create a pattern that allows us to live a more conscious and overall happy life.
And today's episode will be about traffic jams and how you deal with them on a daily basis.
Yeah. When we get stuck in traffic, right? It's hot, usually around like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
The sun is burning.
Especially here in California.
Yeah, in the Bay Area, man. But yeah, you're tired, you're hangry.
Hangry, especially after work.
Yeah.
If you're driving down the freeway after work and you're starving, well, at least I'm always starving after work, and then you're stuck in traffic and you have to deal with all these cars driving all crazy. It's just like an all-around bad situation.
Yeah. Well, not just the cars that drive crazy, but what about the cars that drive really, really slow when you're trying to get home?
So the extra cautious drivers.
Extra cautious, that's a nice
Let's
way
call
to put
them
it.
like that.
Yeah, so I feel like you can encounter all sorts of situations on the road. And sometimes these situations can put you in a really, really bad mood.
Yeah.
So we kind of want to talk about the different types of drivers there are out there. And we want to hit on the...
what kind of drivers we are.
Yeah.
We'll admit it.
Yes, we'll be honest. I promise. So, Melly, what kind of drivers have you encountered on the road?
I think definitely the most memorable ones are those crazy drivers.
Yeah.
The ones that are driving super fast, that they almost get into an accident, It's just they're in a rush or something. And they tend to get into these situations that can lead to really bad.
Yeah, an accident even, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen those drivers a lot. The speedsters.
Yes.
And I mean, it's not even a matter of whether you don't like it or not. It's just a matter of safety, right? Because you're not just putting yourself in danger, but you're putting every other car out there in danger.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely those. I'm sure everyone has a problem with those.
Yeah, I know. Those are like the first ones that come into your head when you think of traffic jams and stuff. The ones that are like eagerly trying to cut into your lane when there's like no room.
Yeah. Right. As far as cutting into your lanes, I feel like that's always been a big one for me because I feel like if somebody needs to get into your lane, let them, right? I mean, like, why not? I feel like we all have those situations in which, oh shoot, you're not really paying attention or you zone off and you're like in the wrong lane and I need to get into this lane to take an exit or something. And then I'm over here trying to get into the lane and they just don't let me because they just don't feel like it. And there's room in front of them. And fine, you don't want to let me like in front of you, then, drive a little bit forward so I can just get in behind you, right?
Yeah.
And they just don't let me. And to me, that's really upsetting because you don't have to be so mean on the road.
It's not that big of an inconvenience for them. But I feel like to those drivers at the moment, it is a big inconvenience. Like they're just trying to get to where they want. And they're like, I'm not letting anyone through.
Yeah.
They're not even thinking about anybody else because they're just like, oh, I want to get home or I want to get to where I want to go. Yeah. And there's too much traffic and they're already frustrated. So they don't even consider anybody else.
Yeah, that's crazy. See, that's selfish, right? Because, I mean, I get it, right? But we're all on the same boat there. So I think those are the drivers that tick me off the most.
Yeah. The ones that don't let you into their
the
lane.
non-courteous drivers. But then there are those drivers that they're just kind of, zoned out, doing their thing, probably blasting their music. So they don't really... They're not actually paying attention to you,
Yeah, so they might not even notice that you're trying to get into that lane.
And I think you can know, like, I know the difference. I know the difference when I'm trying to, like, get someone's attention, like, because I make signals with my hands.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
You're, like, in your car waving your hands like crazy?
I do that all the time. And then I'm like, can I get in, please? Like, pointing, And they usually let me in. But then there's those drivers that don't even turn around to look at me. And I'm like, oh, man, like, they're just not paying attention. I'm a little bit too behind them. I'm probably in their blind spot or something.
That too, yeah.
Yeah. But then there are those that see you and they don't
They
care.
just don't want to, yeah.
And those tick me off the most.
But talking about those that are usually, like, not paying attention to you, that's totally me.
Yeah.
Yes, in the car, that's like my me time where my mind just wanders. and either I'm blasting music or I'm not even listening to anything, or I'm listening to another podcast, and I'm just all in depth, like analyzing myself. Or just thinking about what's coming or what I'm planning or whatever it is. I always get into like this bubble of mine while I'm driving. I don't tend to notice other cars around me. Yeah.
And see, you don't mean wrong, right? It's just that's your you time, like you said.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. There's times where I'm driving, and I'm sure it's happened to other people, and it's very irresponsible, but there's times when I'm driving and I just totally zone out.
Yeah.
And I get to my destination and I'm like,
how did I get here?
What? Yeah. And I'm just like, that's a trip because
That's crazy.
I don't know how I just forget.
Yeah. How did you forget this whole time that you were driving, right?
Yeah.
Not only that, but like, have you ever experienced when you're like driving somewhere and you're not paying attention really, but you're just driving, and then all of a sudden you realize you're going the wrong way, like you're going home when you weren't supposed to be going home, and you're like going a different way, and you're like, oh no, I missed my exit now.
Yes, that actually happened to me today. I was trying to get to Target and I started going like the opposite way, and and then I got so frustrated. I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna go to Target. And so I just stopped at Walgreens for something real quick. But it's just, that's so annoying. But you know, it's because I was zoned out most of the time, and I just forgot where I was going. Too busy thinking about life.
Yeah.
As far as what kind of driver I am,
Yeah, what kind of driver are you?
I believe I am the courteous driver.
The courteous, okay.
I believe that if you want to get into my lane, I'll let you get into my lane, whether I'm in a rush or not.
Really?
Yeah. And just because I know how it feels when someone doesn't let you in, and it's just not cool.
You just hate it that much.
Yes, I do. It just ticks me off, right? Yeah, so I believe I'm a courteous driver. But then also, I get really upset when other people are like rude. And then there's those people that like flip you off on the road. So I flip them off too. And then I start this like altercation with them in my head because they obviously can't hear what I'm saying.
In your head.
So I'm just like in my head, I'm like super like angry and telling them stuff, and you know, sometimes out loud, and and you know, so I get a little bit of road rage, but only because they get mad at me.
So you're a courteous one, but you're a road rager. Interesting, Yadi.
I have a little bit of both.
Have you ever encountered those drivers when they get so angry at you that they're like practically getting out of their car?
Yeah, or they're honking at you like crazy and you don't even know what you did wrong. I've encountered those drivers, and I don't even know why. To this day, I'm just like, I don't know why, you know, those situations happen to me, because I can usually know when I do something wrong, you know, and when I do, and that car is like happens to be next to me, like I'll say sorry. Like again, I'm a waver. Yeah. So I like wave and I'm like sorry, you know, and I make like a face for them to know that I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. I'm not trying to be like a jerk or anything, right? So there's those times where a car is just like honking at me and I'm like, what the heck? And then they just pull up next to me and they flip me out. And it's honestly, it happens a lot to me. I still think I'm a good driver, so this may tell you guys otherwise, but it happens a lot and they just like flip me off, and sometimes I get really angry, and again, I can't let that ruin my day, right? It usually happens in the mornings too. I don't think it's ever really happened to me like during traffic hour or something. Well, traffic hour, but not like in the afternoon. But I totally flip them off too. How about you?
No, I am actually the opposite with them. So if they start getting like aggressive, I guess, towards me because I made a mistake, and I know it. If I made a mistake and I see them and they get mad at me, I'm like, okay, sorry, like I did it. I'm trying to move now or whatever. But like, there's no reason for you to start yelling. I can't even hear you. So that person in the other car is yelling to like the top of their lungs with their window down because they want me to hear them. But my window's still up. I'm not going to lower it to hear you. And then it's like, I'm just there like in my car like, oh, I did it.
Yeah. Especially when you're like on the freeway and you're just like, okay, like how am I supposed to listen to what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So I just like, I don't even acknowledge them, honestly. Oh, that's so bad. But yeah, I don't even acknowledge them. I'm just like, keep going wherever I was going.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's not bad. I think it's the best way to go, honestly.
Yeah.
Because if you were to acknowledge them, say you're on the freeway and somebody starts getting all all upset and all crazy on you and you acknowledge it, you can cause an accident, honestly.
Yeah,
They're so
true.
angry, they're looking at you, they're not even paying attention. You looking at them, and it's just all bad.
Yeah.
It can just go all wrong on so many ways, in so many ways.
Yeah. It's just like if you didn't, if you made a mistake while driving, like hopefully it didn't do anything bad. But if it didn't, then like, why are you complaining? Like, obviously the person knows they made a mistake. Like, what are they, how are they going to fix it? They can't go back in time and change it. Like, you're yelling for nothing. Like, we're moving on. That's honestly how I feel.
That is so funny. All right. So you are a cautious driver.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
not
I might
acknowledging.
even be I don't know.
Overly
I want to
cautious?
say, I want to say overly cautious, but at times I'm not because of the thing that I do while driving and not paying attention.
That's not very cautious.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, what's like the thing that you get made fun of when you're driving? Like, what does your husband make fun of you for?
They don't make fun of me, actually, but everyone who gets in my car, they say I drive really fast.
Oh.
I'm not a speedster, though. I'm not like speeding my way through the freeway, right? But I do drive faster than
The speed limit.
I should. Yeah. Yeah. So my friend gives me a hard time all the time too. She gets in the car and she's always like, "Oh my God,
No
wait."
way.
Yeah.
Holding on to the car.
Yeah. And Armando would be like, chill.
No way.
Yeah. So
Well, I've actually drove in the car with you, and I didn't
Yeah.
feel like you were driving too fast.
Well, that's the thing. I just learned that I just need to just chill, really take a breather. There's no rush. There's no
Yeah.
need, to be driving so fast. Yeah, but I've been really trying to get better at it. I'm glad that you didn't think that.
It means you're actually improving.
It means I'm doing a lot better.
So do you think rushing to places is the main cause for like people to be driving like this or like recklessly?
Yeah, I definitely do think so. I feel like there's a lot of rushing going on in the city. And I just feel like everyone is just trying to get to their destination so fast which causes them to just be either a really bad driver, distracted driver,
Road rager.
everything, I think a lot of factors play into it, but it's definitely that we're always rushing everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just, our fast-paced life has us feeling that all the time.
Exactly.
And I feel like sometimes we don't even realize it, that we're always rushing, not just with driving, but rushing to do anything just to get over it and onto the next thing.
Yeah.
So, Millie, what do people say about your driving?
I think the biggest thing that my boyfriend makes fun of me for is my weird choice for driving in the middle of the roads.
But you're an overly cautious driver, Millie. How is it that you drive in the middle of the road?
No, so this is usually not like on the freeway or anything like that. It's usually, those small roads in residential areas mostly where like they don't even have the line painted on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And so those ones, when there's no line, I'm like, okay, that means I can drive in the middle.
You didn't specify, so.
Yeah, if you're not going to draw a line, then I'm not going to like drive on the right side, Yeah. But like those streets are a little safer because you can see them ahead. You're driving slower. Mm-hmm. So obviously when I see another car coming or I see another car pulling out of their driveway, whatever it is, like I always move to the right side. Mm-hmm. But if there's no car, I am like free to drive in the middle of the road. Okay. Oh. If you didn't want me driving in the middle of the road, draw a line down the middle.
That makes sense, though. So your boyfriend, he just doesn't.
He just thinks it's so weird. Like, why would you drive in the middle of the road? But for me, I'm like, I have more room.
I think we all have, though. I usually do that when I'm scared of hitting, like, the cars parked on the side, like, on the side.
Yeah.
And I tend to drive in the middle, too, because of that. So I don't think it's just you. But when there is no cars, that I could hit, I definitely do try to stay in my lane on the right side. Well, not lane, right? Because there is no lane, but there's only one lane. Exactly. But on the right side, definitely. So I actually have a funny story. I just want to throw out there that my husband and I try so hard to censor ourselves around our kids. But sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's not that we forget they're around, but, sometimes we're just so into our conversations that we tend to speak like adults. And, our kids, obviously being kids, listen in sometimes and they just catch on to things, right? So this was a few years back. My daughter was 3 years old. Or no, she was probably like 4 years old because my son was around already. I remember being in the car, like I previously stated, sometimes cars are like honking at me and then they like drive by me and flip me off, and me over here being the road rager, quote unquote, what Millie calls me, I flipped them off too. And at this instant, I think I flipped them off and I said like a really bad word. I said the B word. Okay. And I didn't think twice about it. I was like, what the, and then B word, and that was that. And then a few days later, my husband and I took the kids to Chuck E. Cheese. And if you guys have been to Chuck E. Cheese, you guys know there's like this little car where the little Chuck E. Cheese car that takes a picture of you, right? So I was at the table and with my son eating pizza, and then my daughter and my husband were like at the little car thing, and I just hear Catalina like vroom, vroom, vroom. And then she honks and she goes beep. So loud.
She says the word.
She says the B word. And everyone turned around and I just see Catalina. I see my husband walking back like he doesn't know who that little girl is. And I just turn around and it was so bad.
You guys just denied her.
We denied her. We pretended we didn't know her.
That is so funny.
And then after, obviously, my son had to go grab her, and then he brought her, but she had no idea what she had done. Monkey see, monkey do. Mm-hmm. So after that, I vowed that I was not going to cuss anymore inside the car. I still flip off, when my kids are not looking. But I just, I don't do the whole cussing, because I felt bad. It was not okay what she did, but she had no idea what she had done. So yeah, that was my bad experience.
That is so funny.
And I learned from it for a while.
Did you get a picture of her when she was saying it?
I don't even think my husband thought about that.
He just left the picture there.
Yes, dude, he grabbed her and he just brought her over to me, and I'm like, what? And then there was like this other couple and they were looking at us like, Bad parenting right there.
Oh, pobrecitos.
I know.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so.
The first picture that we have together, I think is on that little cart with Chuck E. Cheese that takes a picture of you. Yeah, it's like in black and white.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that.
Maybe we'll post it on our Instagram and Twitter.
That'll be so fun. Do you still have it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we should totally post it. We should post that one and the caricatures.
Oh, yeah, we have another one. Okay, so that one, like the Chuck E. Cheese one, when we're little. Yeah. And then as teens is the caricature one.
And then us now at Shot of Bliss. Parents, if you guys are listening, try to censor yourselves because kids are always listening.
Just a little tip from Yadi, the mom.
Yes. And it was quite embarrassing. But it was, now it's a funny story. And it was funny then too, afterwards.
After you left the building?
After all the dirty looks were gone, we left.
So this title of Traffic Jams, it actually has a double meaning, right?
Yeah, we thought it was kind of cool because traffic jams literally is you're jammed in traffic.
Yeah.
And also we believe that the solution to the road rage you're feeling or to you feeling so rushed and just your overall mood that you have going on when you're driving is due to what you are listening to. We believe that maybe taking consideration into what you're listening to can have an impact on how you
react in traffic situations.
Right. To me, what I like to do sometimes when I do feel that rush and that adrenaline of having to get to the next place that I'm going to, I try to just play something a little bit more mellow, and that automatically calms me down, and I'm starting to feel a little.
You kind of slow down.
Yeah.
Which is what we're saying. You need to be a better driver out on the road.
And we're not saying that everyone's a bad driver. No, we're kind of just talking on our own experiences and people we've encountered and our pet peeves on the road and our mistakes, that we make on the road. Because let me tell you, I'm not the best driver. I believe I am, but I know I'm not.
No, sometimes it just happens.
Yeah. And there's always room for improvement, right? I feel like we're not always so conscious of how we're reacting to something or we talk about it. And then we realize that, wait, we haven't really been so conscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially with like traffic, this is something that happens every single day. You're on the road every single day. There's traffic every single day. It's just really important to be as safe as possible out on the road. I mean, you have no control over what other people are doing in their car. You have no control over other people's driving, but you have control of yourself. So if we can start with ourselves, I believe that, we'll just make an overall safer.
Exactly. You can't control other people, but you can control yourself. So if you're out there driving and you put into place our solution where we're saying put on a mellow music or something that mellows you out while you're driving, and that can help you be more concentrated, and maybe you'll catch on to other bad drivers so you can stay away from them.
I think that's one of the biggest things, right? It's like everything. They say that, you are what you eat, you are what you think, you are what you listen to, you are what you watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you are what you listen to is a big one, especially when we're in the car it depends, right, on how far you drive and how often you drive. But, I believe that we do drive a lot in one day. So just be conscious of what you listen to.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
can help out in your traffic situations.
And that can totally change your mood
for the rest of the day, because usually your day starts out with driving.
Yep. And it ends with driving, sort of.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
We're saying that listening to something that can mellow you out while driving is a good option. But what do you listen to, Yadi?
Me, I think my go-to is always worship songs.
Okay.
Just, it gets me feeling mellow. It gets me thinking about things that I haven't thought about throughout the day. Basically, I start praying. So it helps me get into the mood of praying. And when I pray, I feel conscious. I feel like I just start analyzing my day, and I feel like I become more conscious of my surroundings too, because I know that I'm on the road. All I want to do is get home safe, and all I want to know is that everybody else is getting home safe. Mm-hmm. So that just kind of gets me in the right mood for me. Other than worship music, it would probably have to be
throwbacks.
I've
been in the car with you. I know it's throwbacks.
Definitely throwbacks. I stick to like the late 90s, early 2000s, and those are my jams, and they get me feeling myself. But they don't get me too rowdy.
No, but not only that, get this, guys. Yadi listens to all these throwbacks on actual CDs. Like, who still listens to CDs? This is crazy.
You guys should really leave us a comment and let me know if you guys still listen to CDs in your car. I love it. I really do. When I go, I live in Gilroy, so I go through areas where I get no signal. So sometimes I just can't listen to the radio, and I get really frustrated. So I have my CDs. Why listen to the radio?
Your CDs never go wrong.
No, they don't. And my husband, he's like, well, what about your phone? Aux cord. Mm-hmm. But I have
yes, Daddy. What about your phone?
One, I don't have music downloaded on my phone. I have YouTube, and I have my playlists on YouTube. But again, I would need, Wi-Fi or signal. Yeah. What about you, Melly? What do you listen to?
I think I listen to a little bit of throwbacks too. I usually listen to whatever is like on the radio. In the mornings, I used to love hearing talk shows. Like, yeah, because they just talk about like news or like funny stuff. And so that kind of gets you into like, in a happy mood in the morning. But then sometimes I just choose not to listen to anything. And then that's when my mind starts to wander.
Yeah.
And that's when I do my best thinking.
Yeah. It's true though. Like you mentioned earlier, right? Like driving time is your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I miss those days. I really appreciate my time too when I'm on the road, but I don't get much of that. So I have to resort to other stuff.
When you have kids in the car, it's different, huh?
It is very different. So we decided to make this episode a part of our Bliss in Disguise series for the fact that we encounter traffic every single day.
It's one of those things that can easily ruin your day.
Yes. And I believe that we've all had our day ruined by some sort of
traffic jam.
Yeah, definitely.
Traffic incident. Mm-hmm. So even though these traffic incidents are a negative thing that can happen in your day, And maybe you're that kind of person that has to react back to when somebody's being aggressive to you during an incident. And that's okay. But just, I think the bliss in disguise part would be to try to take that negative moment and not let it affect the rest of your day so that you're able to enjoy the rest of the day and move on.
Yeah. And even if you try refraining yourself from it, even one time, it really builds character. And I believe that, in any situation, refraining yourself from anything builds character. And refraining yourself just one time from flipping that person off, if you're like me, or, if you are the type of person to, yell at someone and even though they can't hear you, or, you just get really ticked off when people, do anything that's wrong on the road and, it affects you in one way or another and you just get really upset and it just ruins your whole mood, whether you're any of these types, just remember that.
Remember that everybody makes mistakes. To make this incident a way for you to change and be more conscious on the road.
Or react differently.
Remember when you're in traffic, the different options you have. You can either react the way you've been reacting all the time, but then it ruins the rest of your day, or you can try to refrain, or you can try listening to a calmer music or no music like me, but try to still concentrate on the road.
Always.
And maybe that will be the guide for you to have a happier day.
Definitely. Just always remember to be mindful of others, other cars on the road, because you never know what their situation is, how, what type of morning they've had. You don't know. There's really unfortunate situations out there where you don't know if they just lost someone or, you just never know. If they just had a previous accident,
Yeah.
you just never know. So be mindful of others and be conscious of you and your driving. And like we previously stated, as long as you're doing something for yourself, in order for you to just be better, grow and be more conscious, and I feel like we're already a step closer to
having bliss in our lives.
Yeah, so drop us a comment and let us know what type of driver you are. If you've encountered any wacky situations in which you just really realize that you do not like that, something you just can't deal with on the road, let us know what methods you use when you're on the road. Like, have you ever thought of it? Have you ever thought of whether you're a conscious driver, a not conscious driver? If you actually have already known that for a while and you actually play something on your car that makes you just feel better, and makes you just kind of in an overall better mood.
Yeah, how do you deal with your traffic jams?
Let us know. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
And download us on a bunch of different directories. You'll find us on over 13 of them. And if you go ahead and follow us on Instagram, you'll see where we're listed. Stay safe on the road and always be courteous and mindful of other drivers out there.
All right, so we'll talk to you guys next time.
Bliss out, guys.
Bliss out.